Hello, and welcome to another terrifying episode of Cult Film and Review. What you're about to hear is audio brutality at its finest. This week, the boys are reviewing The Beyond. Now join them as they go beyond. Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of Cult Film Review. I am your host, Cody Everett. This week, we're doing a special October, horror-themed month. So stick with us with that. We're doing The Beyond tonight, Italian gore fest film. So it came out in 1981. We're going to talk about that. So you know what? Without any further stuff to say, let's just start the show.
Your Hollywood system stole our sex and co-opted our violence, so there's nothing left for our kinds of movies.
Movie.
I did not hit her. It's not true.
Klopex?
Klopex.
Klopek.
Up yours, baby.
Me and Bubba, my little brother, listen to you every night.
Where in the hell are we?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hey guys, happy October. All right. Halloween time is my favorite.
Halloween time.
Halloween time. It's my
Halloween
favorite.
Town.
Halloween Town.
Do you think they ever made a song
Maybe we
called
should've done-
Halloween Time?
They should. I will.
I could do it now.
I'll do it right now.
Halloween Time.
So we're here to talk about an Italian movie that is probably some of the best foliage I've ever heard in a movie.
Is that sarcasm?
Yeah, no, it is.
A little bit.
I'll give you a brief layout of this. This is basically a movie where the main character, she inherits a hotel that actually has the gate of hell underneath it.
One of them.
One of seven.
Yes.
And they accidentally open it up doing renovations. And as you can imagine, things turn to hell. So,
They turn to hell?
yeah, well, yeah.
Well, see, I didn't see very many hellish things about it,
Really,
other
I think
than
the dead
the
coming back to
undead.
life is not a hellish thing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, maybe it
Well,
is. I don't know.
there's some stuff we can get into. We can get into all that. I got fan theories.
Here's my
I got fan theories.
Here's my first question to you then. So the pacing of this film starts off incredibly slow, in my opinion, with the opening scenes set back in, I think, the 1926?
1927.
1927.
Yeah.
Starts out there. It's insanely slow, in my opinion. Does that set the tone for the rest of the film, or do you think that the pacing does pick up? Because that's a little bit what killed me with this movie, was the pacing.
Yes. The pacing was...
The pacing
up
is
and
slow
down.
throughout. I mean,
there are times when it gets
really
is.
is.
Like, the first death happens like 20 minutes in. I was like, oh, that's cool. But it doesn't keep that pace up. Like, there's a horrifying death, and all of a sudden it, like, peters out for, like, another half an hour, and then it becomes a zombie slasher, like, or a survival thing at the end of this.
Well,
You know?
Chris,
Well-
do you think the pacing has an issue on the film itself?
I think, well, yeah, but I think a lot of Italian horror has that same type of pacing. But,
Yes.
But I was actually surprised to find that it picked up as it went along for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I felt like it was slow in the beginning, but as the story went on, it picked up. There was a couple lulls, but nothing that really made me feel like it was a slow movie.
Or that made you feel like it was very slow. Kyle, did you find the pacing troubling at all in the film?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, in the beginning, it is slow. It's slow to get going, and there's not a whole lot of like exposition that really happens in the film to kind of catch you up on what's going on. And yeah, it's a balance between slow parts, slow bits of dialogue, scenes that are not necessary really. They don't drive the film in any way, and then those are separated out by various gruesome deaths. So, I mean, in terms of a gore fest film, like Chris nailed it. It's Italian, and that's just the way they do it. They're just not. It's not fast paced. Bum bum bum. You know.
And that's kind of why I bring it up a little bit, because when I was looking at the film going, what is it that drives people to become cult fans of this film?
Gore, man.
And it's
Yeah.
gore.
They eye
That's
gouging
the
gore.
only answer that I can come up
Absolutely.
with. Though.
It's a shock film. You get friends together, and it's like, oh, you got to see this movie because the fucking eyeball gets eaten by a spider or some
It's
bullshit.
like Blood Feast.
And
or
there's some
something.
Yeah.
there's some inadvertently comedic things that happen in this film that
Yeah,
are
yeah.
meant to be serious, but really you could kind of laugh at a little bit.
Well,
like,
before we get on the it's supposed to be
Hold on.
serious train, I do want to just make sure everybody's aware that Fulci describes this film as a plotless film.
Well, at least he admits it.
well,
So
yeah,
it's a
thankfully.
plotless film driven by special effects and the imagery. That's really what it is.
I would disagree with that.
He said it, not I.
He's a liar. No.
He's.
He doesn't know his own movie.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
I think the director makes this a cult film too, because he was already known for Zombie.
exactly. He did Gates of Hell, which is also known as City of the Living Dead. Before this, he did Zombie 2 or whatever the other 3 names for that movie.
There's a bunch, yeah.
Dawn of the Dead 2, I think, is one of them as well.
Somehow.
But yeah, he's known for being gory. You
So
know?
you're gonna chalk it up to the director, Chris, and the goriness of the film.
Yeah, I think that's probably most of it. And I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think these were considered giallo films, which
that was the name I was trying to think of all day, Mike.
yeah,
okay.
and there's a couple directors that were sort of pioneers of this style,
And
they all feel just like
What is
this.
the
yeah, what are the
what is the style
characteristics
of
Yeah.
that style?
was the kind of noir, but also
Well, I don't know if this quite falls into the giallo because more Dario Argento is a giallo film director, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Like all of his films are they're very very violent and gory mysteries. All of them. It's you know
Right,
who's
right.
the killer, who's doing this, and then there's like a big reveal at the end. Whereas Fulci, it's just gore and you know. So I don't quite know. I'm going to look up the definition
you're-
of giallo.
You're probably right. I mean that was probably a poor description. Although you could definitely connect like Italian horror to like the giallo genre. You know what I mean? I feel like they get associated pretty frequently, probably because of the violence. Fulci was big on the gore thing though, and I think he executed it really well. Actually,
In this movie?
some of it looked cheesy, but at the same time, it was the idea of the gore in this film. Yeah,
Yeah.
that when you saw it, you were like, "Oh, I can kind of feel that," or I can kind of feel like I could put myself in that situation. I'm getting really grossed out or creeped
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Kyle, did you find the definition?
Yeah. It is, let's see, in Italy, term simply denotes thrillers, typically of crime fiction, mystery, and horror subgenres, regardless of the country of origin. And little fun fact, the word giallo is Italian for yellow. It's used as a label denoting the thriller genre derives from its association with a series of cheap paperback mystery novels popular in post-fascist Italy, which were adorned with a yellow cover.
Nice.
Well, there you
Oh,
go.
wow, look at that.
Boom, there.
Giallo.
So I think Fulci falls a little more into the more the gory style of the giallo, the subgenre, I guess, of the horror
Sure.
you could say. But
So is that what the fans are holding on to though? And is that enough to put this in a cult film status?
yes, I think it is what they're holding on to, and I do think it's enough to put them into cult film status because simply of that sharing. You want to share this film with all your friends. You want them to all see the various ways that eyes are removed from the human body. You want to see melting faces. Like this is that's what drives it. That's what it's. The cult following is definitely coming from the horror fan side of things. Like that's where the obviously
see,
it's coming from.
that's also where for like me, I had a problem.
You
with it.
you don't like violent films.
No, not with that. Like it was the same gag several different times, and that's
Fulci goes for the eyes in almost every movie.
yeah, but like 3 times in this movie, and the acid gag happened like 3 times in this movie.
That is, yeah.
Yeah, well, one of them just made no sense at all. The random jar in the
Yeah, that just keeps pouring for
the never-ending jar of
eternity.
acid.
Yeah.
Like, and so that's
But again, this is as Fulci describes, it's a plotless film driven by the imagery. So these are basically like if we sat around and said, all right, what are some cool ways to kill people? Like, all right, we have 6 cool ways to kill people. Let's make that into a movie. And you got to fill in the blanks between those deaths. Like,
they definitely do that. They definitely fill in the blanks.
yeah.
Because, wow.
There was some good gags though. I mean, the dog that attacks her, like when they're sitting in the corner and she's petting him, and it just turns on her and rips her throat out, and then fucking rips her ear off. That was I
The
didn't
ear
see
rip-
it coming.
The ear rip is a good gag.
I didn't see it coming, and it actually made me jump.
It did.
so.
It did. I actually, yeah, you were very animated during that.
But like I said,
portion.
I think that he repeats some gags to where, like, by the third time or you see it, or the second time you see it, you're like, okay, I've already seen that. It's not as jarring as it could be.
Yeah, I mean the gag, the way he accomplishes the gag changes though.
True.
Okay, so like the first time you see an eye pop out, it's a finger gouging out the eye. All right, the next time is a spider, believe it or not, eating out an eye, a tarantula, and then the last time is he impales that chick's head on that nail sticking out, and it just happens to go through the back of the head, and pops the eye out.
So he's like raising the stakes. You think? Like he's saying this is worse than this, and this is even worse.
I think
than
he's just
that?
trying to keep you more or less like on your feet. Like
Okay.
it's not going to be this every time. It's going to be some other weird inanimate object or animated object that's going to be taking out the eye. But it is the eye. It's always going to be the eye.
I just want to know what he has against eyes.
I don't know. He's not a fan of
Everybody's
sight.
blind in this movie.
Maybe he's got a fear. Maybe there's
I have
like
a theory about that as well. We'll get into
Oh,
that
okay,
later.
cool.
Dang, we're gonna have fan
I
theory
can't
hour
wait.
here soon. I'll tell you that much. No, and do you think that so we realize that people, I would say, probably rely heavily on the gore as where it gets its cult following. For me, I don't know if that's enough, because the thing that got me the most that I just could not get over was the sound in this movie. It drove me insane. Drove me
So you're thinking
insane.
So you're identifying the parts of the film that are bad as being in addition to driving the cult thing.
I think the bad in this film outweighs the good.
Okay, so I will say this: despite what Fulci said, it is a plotless film
Yeah.
with imagery in it. I think it has probably one of the coolest plots and storylines ever, and I wish it would be fleshed out more in cinema. And that is the concept of 7 gates of hell placed randomly on the planet, on Earth, that have entry. He's introduced 3 of them. He's done 3 of them in his films. That means there's still 4 more left. And that leaves like a really... I love the imagery of hell, like Dante's Inferno. I love that imagery because it's so powerful and shocking, and it'd be cool to see on cinema. So that sticks with me more. I remembered that the most about this movie was that concept that there is 4 to 5 other doors. You don't know where they're at on Earth that are access points to hell. And I think the more you watch the movie, the more you'll kind of catch on to that, and I think you'll be more like where I'm at on it and thinking, okay, well, this is a cool fucking concept. The movie might not be awesome, but it's gory, and if you're a horror hound, you're like all about it. You're like, cool, blood and guts or whatever. But it does have some kind of cool subplot that is actually happening.
I will say something in regards to the sound. Almost a lot of Italian movies, spaghetti westerns and everything like that, relied heavily on Foley and ADR work to get their...
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
no sync
Yeah.
sound.
They
had
never
no sync
synced
sound.
anything.
Footsteps up the yin yang.
Yeah, footsteps, crickets all the time.
Yeah.
And you know, it
You know the cricket track in
Yeah.
the morgue?
just constantly. Wherever they went, there were fucking crickets everywhere. But
I think they did some cool layering shit in the sound, though. Like, you don't pick up on it right away, but if you really listen to it, like with the music and everything, the mix is pretty good. It's just the fact that, like you said, Mike, it's ADR, so nothing really matches up very well, you know? And I think they were speaking in Italian, right?
some were the way they would do it.
some were
Some were and
Italian.
some wouldn't be.
Okay,
But
so...
regardless, they were going to layer it over the whole one language
Yeah.
anyway, so it didn't matter what anybody was saying.
Yeah, I don't think that really like stood out to people as a negative quality at that time. I mean, if you like those kind of films, you're just like, you just take it for what it is.
Oh, yeah, no, Italians were like some of the last. Italian films were some of the last to ever sync sound up because they just didn't. They were looking at it as a cost-effective way of
Yeah, they're
putting sound in. They would look at it as just like, well, why would we do that? I know America's doing it, but this is working, so why the hell would we change it?
No.
Yeah.
Why would you?
Plus, I mean, I'm sure there's got to be a cost. You know, did you ever say that? There's probably a cost.
Yeah, that's
aspect
right. Yeah,
involved,
cost-effective
so, yeah.
reason for doing it. The only thing that will say that's a little, it's tough to listen to is a lot of the sounds are really loud at one point,
Yeah.
and then some of the other sound effects are really quiet.
Yeah,
so
it's not a
it's
good
like they
balance.
didn't level anything really well.
Mhm.
So that can be a little off-putting.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, we're going to talk more about the Beyond when we come back.
The 7 dreaded gateways are concealed in 7 cursed places. Woe be unto him who ventures near without knowledge.
Be careful.
this hotel was built over one of the 7 doors of evil. And only I can save you.
Hey guys, we're back and we're talking about the Beyond. And one of the things I wanted to bring up was the lighting a little bit. The lighting in the film and how that was done.
What did you think about it?
How was that
Cody?
done?
Yeah, Cody.
You know, I think they used a lot of lights.
Yeah, they
I think there may or may not have been
I don't
lights
know.
on set.
They could have used a couple of lights, maybe a little harsh lights,
in
a
the
little soft
beginning, they
lights.
needed some more lights.
Yeah, they did.
In that opening scene.
I'll tell you what, they gotta turn the lights on. It had a brown filter.
Crank up those candles.
That's called sepia.
What's up with that?
What is up with
That
what?
sepia tone, just because it's the past?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what
It's just of the-
it's what
yeah.
old
timey
photographs. Yeah, old timey photographs. They
the
all had
old-timey part of the
sepia
movie.
tones.
I don't think it was necessary.
Did anyone else have a Did anyone else have a problem with the lighting in the film, Mike?
No, I actually absolutely love the way Italian films are lit. I like them because they're lit almost like theater sets are lit.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
different colors of lights. Like even in the the morgue.
Yeah.
The
There's
the
a lot of
lights coming
blues
out from
and
the back
stuff.
is like blues and stuff like that. I feel like in films like Suspiria,
Mhm.
a lot of
Oh.
reds, a lot of harsh
Oh,
reds
yeah.
coming off like the walls, and yeah, I love the way.
What kind of mood do you think that sets, Chris? Because it sets a cold mood in my opinion.
Yeah, cold, kind of paranormal. It felt paranormal to me. Like I think we kind of knew that it was going to go that route just by the way it was lit. Lots of blues.
Go the
and
paranormal route.
blues. Actually, I really liked that. I thought that scene where they were in the morgue, I thought that was one of the best sets because
Yeah.
like the lighting in there, it looks like they walk into a spaceship or something. And at first you're looking at it and you're like, what are these things on the table? Are those, what are they? And then you realize, oh, they're in the morgue. Those are bodies in bags on the table. But it just has this really interesting look. Not what I would imagine a morgue to look like with a bunch of stainless steel everywhere,
Yeah, you pictured a spaceship.
I didn't. And
No, they did.
But I
They
got
did.
one. Yeah.
They did.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought they did a great job with the lighting, other than needing more in some scenes.
One of the things I think that they achieved well in some points of the film is the way that it was shot. Some shots are, I think, beautifully done in an artistic way that set up the film very nicely. And then other shots, it felt like they were just like, hurry up, let's go. Got to get it done.
Yeah.
Did anyone else see that as another weak point in the film? Because again, like this is where I'm at with it. Like the bad outweighs the good.
I think all the kill scenes were really well executed and planned out, and I think everything in between was just kind of what you're describing as sloppy.
Yeah, it had a blend of guerrilla style filmmaking with technical planning and a lot of skill. So
I want to say about these types of films. This film, it's like not one shot is the same. Like he takes a different angle every single time. Like he's close up, wide. What is it called? Right, the eye line shots, like the real close up eye line
the
shots,
tight, yeah.
and then all of a sudden it'd be like overhead, then underneath, and then like if you're a film student, you should check this out just to see like just a montage of different types of films or angle setups,
Yeah,
or
maybe-
camera setups.
But then I feel like they take some weird steps too in like how they pan to certain people and the way they pan to certain people and then how it has like an extreme zoom with the pan.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't fit right.
Oh no,
because-
don't get me wrong. It's not like there's a set way that they're doing it that has any structure to it, really. But I imagine him getting behind the camera and be like, "We're gonna try this shot because I wanted to have this feel. Okay, now I want to try this because this." It's almost like he's experimenting
He's
throughout
got
the entire thing.
he's got like 5 to 10 different angles he wants
Yeah.
for every scene.
yeah, and they all say different things, which is interesting. It's like a big mishmash.
Yeah, and he just picks the best of what he likes
Mhm.
and goes with it. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I have a hard time with it. I just have a hard time swallowing that. I feel like you give so much leeway because of gore. Like just so much. There's so much leeway given to this guy because of gore. Like it's not a good film. It's not.
No, I'm not. Yeah.
What?
Go ahead.
I don't know. That's a matter of opinion, obviously, but I wouldn't say it's not a good film. It has its high points, and it does have its it has certain plot points of the story that I think are a little deeper, and I honestly think you should watch it again. I honestly do. Sit through it
Force
again.
yourself, Cody.
Sit through it again and actually like take notes.
It was cool. I hadn't been wanting to see this for a long time, and the only other film I'd seen from his was Zombie. And
You would like City of the Living Dead.
yeah, I feel like I would be interested in his catalog. I just really haven't dug into it, but this one surprised me. I thought it was going to be really boring and really slow,
And that's what I got.
But I feel like I didn't. You know, I feel like it held my interest for the most part. I love the gore, obviously. I know you say you don't like senseless gore, which this film has a lot of. And
It does, but you know what? It was fitting for the style of the film.
was it?
Yeah, I don't disagree with the gore in this movie because it was fitting for. Listen, you're trying to depict hell without actually going to hell until maybe the end of the film. We'll get into that in a little bit. But you know what I mean? So how do you do that? You have to do it through the monsters of the movie. So and through shocking visuals. I think that's basically what it was. Like you can't let's bring a little bit of hell to them because we can't take them to hell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I got from the imagery of it. But so I don't think it's senseless in that form from an artistic standpoint that they chose. What I did think was lazy was like, again, going back to doing the same gag 3 different ways. I don't know if that, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, you're going for how can we do artistic kills, but you're doing the same gag just 3 different ways.
Well, think about how long they even held on those gags. Like you were talking about the acid spilling over onto the face. Like, how long did that scene go on for? Like 2 minutes?
At
I
least.
have no idea what was
And
going
it
on
just
there.
like filled the room up with blood, and it just kept cutting back to her face burning off. Like,
It's like that hospital had endless refills of
Yeah.
like acid. Let's get
Yeah.
the bottomless
a
mug.
jar was like half full when it got knocked over, and it just
they got the
kept going.
Costco-sized bottle of acid. It's cheaper that way. It's cheaper. Get the bigger one.
Buy in
It's
bulk.
cheaper.
Put it on the top shelf.
Don't lay under it.
And don't put a lid on it.
Yeah,
either.
don't label it. Don't.
I do have a question about that particular scene. What is she screaming at? Is it the
I don't know.
Is it the
what do
bottle
you
coming
mean?
down, or do you think she saw something like a creature trying to attack her, and then it killed her, and then she was on the ground and the acid started dropping down on her? I can't imagine she was like, "Oh my god, a bottle of acid's falling down. Let me just lay under it."
Yeah, that was
I
really
think
bizarre.
No, I think a lot of it has to do with like people just not randomly, but they do just go blind. Maybe she just went blind because of
fell.
something she saw and she fell.
Yeah.
Fan theory
Yeah.
time.
There we go.
On the blindness. She saw the beyond. Every person who sees the beyond goes blind.
Oh,
Who shows the beyond?
They see it through various things. In the case of the mother who dies, she sees it through the dead warlock that's also in the morgue with them. That's from the basement, because he's obviously pulling all the strings throughout the whole film. He's the one who's kind of bringing the hellish nightmare out towards everyone. So he caused her to see it. The little girl sees it as well when she opens the door and sees the bodies coming down. She also sees something she isn't supposed to see. The main blind woman, she sees it while reading the Book of Abon in the beginning, and then that's how she, in the book lights up fire, and that was, she saw the image of the beyond.
and then obviously the last 2 people are in it, so they see it.
Yes.
They go blind.
Yeah, because they're...
That's a solid
Yet
theory.
the doctor still does not believe it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, he still
he
doesn't.
never believes anything's happening, even after he reads
Because he's a
the book.
doctor, so he knows about it.
I'm a doctor and a man.
I'm a doctor.
That was like
That was
his
my favorite
excuse for
one.
a lot of
Yeah.
things. Like,
It was.
Hey,
I'm a
Is that when
doctor.
they go to the hospital? I'm a
Take my
doctor.
phone calls.
Come with me. I'm a doctor. And they go to the hospital just so he can go to the office to use the phone. It's like, that was your plan?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a
No,
doctor.
and she's like-
I'm a doctor, and he pulls the gun out of the desk. Like,
Yeah,
But Philip,
and that's the
I'm a
other-
doctor.
That's the other thing that like he's so arrogant. Like even the character is so arrogant that he's like, even though I've shot
Oh my God.
20, 30 of these things, I'll keep shooting them in the stomach. Even though
why
they
does
won't
he
hit.
keep going back
so
to
bad.
it?
And it's like, oh, he'll shoot him in the head. And you're like, oh, you finally figured it out. No,
No.
no, you did not.
And he always has a perplexed look on his face, like it's almost like he's
Yeah.
thinking, the last time I shot someone in the stomach, they went down. Why is this not working?
You know,
Hold on. Let me try
I am a
3 more
doctor.
times.
Listen, I'm a doctor. I've used guns before. You aim. You shoot, you hit, they die. I'm a doctor. This thing should be dead.
I read that somewhere.
Yeah, I'm like, quit wasting bullets. And where does he keep getting bullets from?
Oh
Thank
my God.
you.
Oh,
Thank you.
Chris was actually counting, I think.
I was
while
like,
we-
bullshit. He did just not take 9 shots out of a.
Dude, he
fucking
runs out
revolver.
of bullets all the time in the movie and just randomly has them again.
Well, it did show one scene in the elevator where he had
He
a
does,
pocket
yeah, he
of bullets
does
that he
pull
reloaded,
his-
but that you don't see him reload until at least 15 rounds have gone off.
Yeah.
Out of
Bullshit.
a
I'm
6
called
shooter.
bullshit on
But
that.
great movie. Great
Oh,
movie.
come on, you
I wonder
can't
if
fault
that's
the
a
movie for that.
fantastic.
That's
You
what
can't
makes it
fault
a
the
cult
movie
film.
for
Yeah,
that.
if that's the case, Commando's the worst film of all
Oh,
time because
thank
he
you.
never reloads.
Commando has one of the best
He has
villains of all
he has
time.
like
How
a belt
dare
of
you.
ammo over
Yeah.
his arm, and it just stays there.
It just never
doesn't
ever
move.
runs out.
So funny. No, but yeah, the Doctor is a terrible character.
Well,
Human being.
Talk
as
about
well.
let's talk about characters alone.
Just
Let's break down the characters alone. They're all terrible.
They're not meant
like
to
the lead
be.
actress.
I don't think they're meant to be archetypes.
I like the lead
I don't think they're
a-
meant to
actress
be
as
anything.
well.
Yeah, they're just. I mean, I guess
The main actress has a great look.
Yep.
yeah, but she doesn't have anything unique about her really. Like none of the characters really do.
And none of them have any character development except for the Doctor.
No.
He finally realizes that they're in hell.
Yeah.
And then he goes blind.
What about the plumber? I thought he had a lot of character.
You did?
Yeah.
Was it all in his beard?
It was all in his license
hey, I'm the
plate.
plumber. You're Joe, right? Yeah, Joe.
You see where
That's
it says
award-winning
Joe's
performance
plumbing?
right there, Kyle.
I know, right? Cast me in a Fulci film.
Get him down there to fix some pipes. His
Then
face,
what-
your face will melt
And
off.
that's the other thing, too. Why is there like a flowing river in the basement?
I don't know. It's like this.
Well,
Something's broken.
that's
It's
what
like,
it-
yeah,
yeah.
there's a goddamn
Well,
waterfall in here.
I think that a pipe is legitimately broken, but it's broken on the other side of the false wall they built to conceal the crucified guy.
So that's the thing, too, because they say he was killed in his room, but then the false wall is in the
they
basement.
took him downstairs and nailed him up.
But they say in the film that he was killed in his room.
Yeah, they do.
And
say
she
that.
sees his body hanging in the closet.
So he was nailed.
It's
They
true.
threw acid on him again.
See?
Wait. Maybe that's why everybody dies of acid. It's like a redoing
Ooh,
of his
there you
original
go.
death.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do. They
'Cause, I mean-
nail him to a thing, and then they throw lye at him, which
Think-
is basically acid.
Yeah. It's
Use your
maybe hold on, my brain just
You got
stopped.
it.
Now it just restarted again.
Pull that cord.
God damn it. All right, it's gone. Totally gone.
Totally gone. Bye
Totally
bye.
gone. What were you saying?
Bye bye.
No, I was just saying that maybe that's just a like, okay,
Yes, thank
I
you. Now it
died
came
this
back.
way in the past, and now these creatures
Now
are...
it came back. And the point I was going to make was that the thing to remember is that he is in fact a warlock,
Mhm.
but he was living at the hotel. He was living there to guard and protect that gate of hell. Okay.
Yeah.
So he was essentially his job was to prevent hell from coming on earth. So his job was to save these people, and they all killed him and crucified him because he was quote a warlock and they didn't understand what he was actually there for. So yeah, he went from being the helpful warlock to being the vengeful warlock.
If I could recast this movie, I would recast the Warlock as Willem Dafoe.
It looked like him.
It looked a little like Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
A little bit.
When he was getting beat with those chains, that was making me cringe.
Oh,
That was
wasn't
pretty
it?
brutal.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. I like those. But then again, oddly enough, I would say that the saturation of the film, the color was Sepia.
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 Serpra?
I don't know.
Serpra? Was that a
Supra.
Is that a
Supra?
Is that a three-headed dog?
I think that took away from the gore in it.
I don't think so. I think having that monotone, that monochromatic. There you go. Color scheme. I mean, it goes back to even though you're seeing something really violent that's happening, the fact that it's not in like bright color, it forces your imagination to fill in the blanks, which makes for a more entertaining.
I'm
scene.
glad I didn't see that scene in color because it already looked brutal in sepia.
Yeah,
You know, so it was like I already got like
that's the point. That's a sign of good filmmaking when you can realize like I don't need to show everything. The audience will always create something far more disturbing than you'll ever be able to, and that worked out in his favor in that scene.
I feel like
think.
they show everything.
Yeah, but since it's not in color, it doesn't quite connect. It doesn't feel real.
Yeah,
If we lived
I
in
see
a
what you're
world
saying.
of sepia and that's all we saw color-wise, it'd be more
Yeah,
terrifying.
but then going into the color stuff is way more brutal. Like that acid kill on the mother, like the thing that made me like cringe about that was more of the white color in it than the red.
I thought the screams
that
were
weird?
really terrifying that they used for those scenes and like the gurgling when they would die. I going kind of back to the sound. Like I thought that was really effective, even though it was kind of cheesy. Maybe
Yeah.
like it was effective. Like it made me feel like kind of sick.
Does anyone else have any other fan theories? Because I have a couple.
Well, what were when we were on break? We were talking about the ending.
Yeah,
So
but I think that kind of ties into a little bit of my theories.
Fan theory. Go ahead.
All right, let's put it together, guys.
Well, maybe.
Well, okay, why don't you start it off and then we'll just bridge off of it.
Yeah, here's my theories. So my theories are one of my theories is this is the story of how basically a zombie apocalypse started. I don't know which zombie apocalypse, but they opened the gates of hell, released the dead, and now they're all walking around. My other thing is this could be how they started the rapture. They're actually talking about the rapture in the film because one of the lines is when they're in the car on the way to the hospital is that there's not a soul in sight from like normal people.
Right.
So I think that it's quite possible that it's like the rapture happened, God came and took his people, and everybody who lives their life in sin is still on earth with the dead.
I have a
There'd
theory.
be a lot
on
more
the-
people in that town.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm not going to address your zombie one. That's just it's a good theory, but
It's hogwash.
in terms of the rapture happening, no, that's not what's happening at the end of that movie. So, towards the end of the film, the main character, Liza, when she goes down into the basement to investigate, she gets attacked by that helper, that weirdo that has a weird Irish accent for some reason. One of the helpers of the house. Remember?
Yeah.
She gets attacked and she runs upstairs, and the doctor's like, "Snap out of it! I read the book." You know.
You're crazy, but
Basically-
you're not.
Basically, when the wall blasts open and they see white, from that point forward, the rest of the movie, they are in purgatory. They're not in reality anymore. That's why there are nobody on the streets. That's why, if you notice, all of a sudden, the lighting-wise, going back to that, everything is foggy. It's got this kind of weird way it's lit. It looks dreamlike all over. Even when they're in the hospital, the distant shots, everything is still kind of foggy and dreamlike. And the reason why they're in the morgue, they go through the doorway and they're immediately back in the basement because they're not in reality anymore. They're in purgatory, and when
Right.
they go through the wall, they are then in hell.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
Definitely.
go.
Because I was confused about that burst of light. I was like, okay, like why did they just flash to like a white frame? You
Because
know?
that was like I feel like that was the gate of hell.
and then it
fully
went
opening.
somewhere, and then they were like, oh, what are we doing back here or something like that.
Yeah, remember? Because they were in the morgue fighting zombies.
Yeah.
They see the warlock behind one of the cooler doors, basically. They fight off some more zombies. He blows that little girl's face clean off.
Oh, that was a good. I
That
liked
was
that.
good,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
And
And then they go back to the door, and now they're suddenly back in the basement of the hotel. So they obviously just totally jumped through.
Then they walk through the hole of light, which brings them to Freddy's lair.
Here's what I think. You were saying that you think that it's a prequel to other zombie apocalypse films.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
Here's what I think. I think Chris also might be right a little bit. I think they were in a spaceship, and afterwards it lifted off, and that's the prequel to Event Horizon. Because what happens in Event Horizon is dude rips out his own eyes.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think that this
see
might
that?
have
There
a
you go.
connection here.
Yeah.
You might be onto something.
I could be on Event Horizon.
This could be the
No, this is all making
Fulci
sense
gave
now.
birth to Event Horizon.
It took place in the future, but it happened.
that's the spaceship that it flew off.
Exactly.
And then it took hell with it. It took that hell gate with
hell.
Hell
gate.
just latched on
Dude,
with it.
what if Event Horizon has one of the hell
Hell's
gates
like,
on
I
it?
want to go to space.
it. It could be. Yeah, it could be the fourth Hellgate is in
Could be the-
space.
in space, bro.
Well,
on
that's
that
why-
Which would make zero sense since all the seven gates of
No,
hell
that's why-
are on Earth.
that's why
So
that's why Pinhead is there.
yeah, dude. He didn't. know
Earth
that-
is a realm,
Yeah.
Oh,
Kyle.
okay.
Everybody knows
Yeah.
that.
Okay, so what if it was on a spaceship that was on Earth, and then the spaceship took off, Kyle?
What if Earth was the spaceship?
What if Earth was the spaceship, Kyle?
What if Earth is the spaceship?
Those are some fan theories that you need to
Earth
think about.
is a spaceship.
Yeah.
Boom.
All
There's
the
some-
lights on it and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
figure
right?
that one out.
There it is. There it is.
So then, yeah, because that's another thing too is when they leave the house to go to the hospital, all the lights turn on and there's like bodies walking around. The
Yeah,
hall.
because when that light opened, essentially they were in purgatory. Which in purgatory, if you know your Dante's Inferno theory, purgatory is the place where all the souls go and they wait to be, decided upon which level of hell they're going to go. Or they're waiting.
Limbo.
They're waiting to cross the river Styx, basically.
Yeah, basically. I mean, in
So
Catholicism, it's kind of like it's a waiting area, but you have a choice. You can go to either heaven or hell. It's a place where you're like a neutral human being. If you did some sins, they won't immediately accept you into heaven. So you have to go through trials during purgatory to kind of like work your way up or work your way down.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what I think all of those beings that basically appear in the windows and all the lights come on. It's like all of these souls, these lost souls of hell and purgatory are now they're in that, and it's just basically it's like our reality, but you know what I mean, existing in a different place. Like we're all in this room now, but perhaps in a purgatory, this room still exists, but now it's surrounded by other demons or spirits or whatever.
Yeah.
there you go.
All right.
Fan theory.
I like that. I like that shot too.
That's a cool shot.
Yeah,
That's a really
where you
cool
see
shot.
all of the demons or whatever, like in the
Stone or whatever it is.
in the
ground.
windows. They're all in the windows. And
Oh.
the
Yeah.
light, they're all have
I thought you were
different
talking about the
lights
end.
behind them.
I think that was one of the coolest shots in that whole film.
Yeah, it was really good.
creepy. That was the one really, rather than gory, just creepy.
I
It's
thought
like,
the most
oh my
creepy.
God, if
I
saw
honestly
that-
think the most creepy is the end, when they turn around. They like where they realize where they're at, and they're like, "Oh crap, we're in the wrong spot."
Does not
Let's
end
go
on a good note.
Let's go back. They turn around and they're just still there,
Yep.
and then it's like we're blind.
we are blind.
And then they just walk through it. So what do they just keep walking through that same circle of light right there?
It's purgatory.
So that's just
It has
that.
there's no end. It's you're
You might as well just lay down like the rest of
No,
them.
I
did.
think they're out of purgatory when they get to the.
Oh yeah. I think
they're
they are-
fully in hell.
They're fully have entered the realm of hell, or
The
they've entered the
beyond.
beyond.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because then the Cenobites showed up.
Yeah. Freddy showed up. They all had a
Yeah.
fucking picnic together.
I had to figure, hey, everybody.
You guys want to eat some bodies?
I'm glad you brought the bitch. like, whoa, Freddie. Like, hey, it's 2015.
Yeah. We don't call people bitches
Pinhead's like,
anymore.
how do you feel about pain?
just a bunch of people, and then Jason's just like, because he doesn't really speak, he doesn't say anything.
Isn't that anything?
Michael Myers just tips his head.
Yeah.
I hate when I see that in other
Yeah.
movies.
But his
I'm
mom,
like,
head
God
tip, yeah.
damn it, stop it.
Jason's
Don't rip
mom,
that off.
Jason's mom is there, and she's like, "Don't put your hands on the table. Take your elbows off the table."
Take your elbows off the table.
Take
Like,
your-
Mom, take your head off the fucking table.
60 years ago, everybody in this hotel disappeared. Every last person. A painter called Zweig, who lived here, closeted in his room, had found a key. What key? The 7 gateways to hell. This house was constructed on one of the... Who else is here?
There's nobody here.
I can feel a presence. Somebody...
How are we rating this movie?
I think it's pretty obvious.
Eyeballs?
Eyeballs.
Okay.
Eyeball.
Well,
Severed eyeballs.
Gouged eyeballs.
Gouged eyeballs.
With like a tendon on it, too.
Yes.
All
Or-
right. All right, here we go. We're going to talk gouged eyeballs. Let's rate this movie. I'm going to look to Chris to rate this movie first. Chris, why don't you tell us what you would rate this movie as far as eyeballs go and why?
I would like to see this movie again. I feel like there's more to be discovered, and I was intrigued to even watch more of his films. So that was a good sign. I went into it thinking it could be boring and long, and I won't say it wasn't a little slow. It was, but ultimately held my interest. I love the gore aspect of it. I love his style, and I love the fan theories that we came up with because I think they all sound legit. So I'm gonna rate this a 3.5. I think I could give it a higher rating later on once I see it more and understand it more. And even if it was just meant to be all visuals, like I don't know, maybe he accidentally created something more when it wasn't his intention. So
Okay, all right.
3.5. 3.5 eyeballs.
Yeah, 3.5.
Oh, yeah.
Mike, what would you rate The Beyond?
I'm going to give this a 3. I think I agree with you, Cody. It's not a perfect film. Like he does a lot of mistakes, but what I like about it is that it's just a treasure trove of great shots, great lighting at times. Yeah, but it looks like he was just randomly doing stuff, but there's some intent behind them, and there's something to be learned from that. And it seems like the type of film that Quentin Tarantino would steal a shot out of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, I love this shot, and this is from this film. Like, these are the type of films that have that experimental style of just moving the camera around for the sake of whatever, you know?
Yeah.
One thing you mentioned, Quentin Tarantino, he is actually, I think, responsible for this movie getting released in the full original version.
There you go, fan theory. Fan theory.
He had a production company that released a bunch of movies, didn't he? Like,
did he? I don't know.
Yeah, he had one a while ago, but originally this movie came out in America.
Grindhouse? Was it the Grindhouse?
No, it had a really weird name to it. I forgot what it was. But when this movie originally came out in America, it did come out, I think it was 5 years after it was originally released, and it was under the name of The Seven Doors of Death, if I remember correctly. I think that's right. 7 Doors of something. And it was highly edited. All the gore was pretty much cut down to nothing because it was far too violent of a film.
Great.
Had an X
I
rating.
mean, this movie, yeah, and actually, this movie was on the Video Nasties list for pretty much ever, and the soundtrack was totally different as well. So it wasn't until Quentin Tarantino, or I should say, Grindhouse Releasings, got the rights, and Quentin Tarantino helped push it and get it out there. So there you go.
Hell yeah, there it is.
Thanks, Quentin.
I think I'll go next. No, so I think Mike made a lot of good points, but also I think that's what kills this film for me. I did find it long. I did find it boring. It's a very slow start, and I think that carries it throughout the film. Again, dialogue not that great. It relies heavily on gore. Now, the gore that it does well, but again, same gags over and over again. These things just it leads to, in my opinion, it has a strong ending, but otherwise from that, it's a weak film throughout. Like, it's just a weak film. I am interested to see his other work because, like, I see glints of hope, but to me, this film is at best for me, I would give it 2 gouged eyes.
2 gouged eyes.
That makes a lot of sense. That's the only
well, it makes perfect
eyes
sense.
that you could really gouge out.
Yeah.
Could you?
Yeah, just 2.
Should have been our maximum. We should have went by quarters or something.
Pupil.
Yeah.
Kyle, what do you think of The Beyond?
Yeah, right off the bat, I'm going to say this is not a perfect film. It's cheesy. The dialogue is, it's shitty in some points. The dubbing is questionable at best. It's a fun film, though. It is a little slow, and that's to be expected from pretty much any horror film, for the most part, from like the early 80s or 70s, especially if you're talking about Italian horror. You're not going to get fast-paced, what we're used to in America. But it is fun. It's entertainment. The gore is shocking at times and engaging. It does have a really cool concept of a story that's happening, which is focusing on 7 gates of hell. And the whole ending, the whole last 25 minutes, with my fan theory that I always have in my head since I saw this movie the first time, was like, okay, they're in purgatory, which makes this so much cooler because this isn't actually all real anymore. So I think that adds to it. So it's a movie that deserves several viewings. And again, and like Chris said, the rest of his work is pretty intriguing and interesting. There's some terrible ones in there. Don't get me wrong. I think City or House by the Cemetery, I think is what it is, right? That's the one that comes after this. As part of the trilogy, is god awful, but at the end of the day, it's an awesome film and perfect for Halloween. You want to gag, you want to gross out your guests, pop it on. Whenever you look over, you'll probably see an eye getting gouged out, which is always fun. So, with that being said, 4 gouged eyeballs from me.
4 gouged eyeballs. So do yourself a favor. Throw The Beyond on maybe at your Halloween party. Have some people watch it with you and get grossed out by some of the gore. That's our show for this evening. I just want to say thanks for listening. Make sure you rate us 5 stars on iTunes. You can follow us on Instagram at cultfilm_review. You can also follow us on Instagram at cultfilm_review. You can follow Michael Salustio at
Mike Salustio at Twitter. And at friendlyneighborhoodfilmmaking.com, where I write about stuff.
All right, guys, that is part of our October Fest.
Jesus Christ.
Oktoberfest.
Are you a fan that thinks that we forgot a cult film? Please contact us on Twitter or Facebook or even Instagram. Why not? Hey, we might even send you something nice.
Hey, you might win something. Who
There
knows?
you go. We've got prizes to give away, so.
Yeah. All right, guys, thanks for being part of the show. We appreciate it. Have a good night.